Hello, Peralta community, and welcome to the fall semester 2020 Flex Day, district level Flex Day. My name is Inger Stark, and I'm here to welcome you. I hope that you and your families and your communities are safe and well today. We have an exciting day, as you probably saw on the schedule. This morning's plenary includes a session with our Chancellor Walter, and then a panel discussion at 10 with other district leaders. So I'm going to give you more of an overview at 10 o'clock and give you some logistics at that point, share information about the afternoon. But I just wanted to start the morning by welcoming you and passing this meeting off to our Public Information Officer, Mark Johnson, to also welcome you and introduce our Chancellor.
Thank you, Dr. Stark. Good morning, Peralta. It's great to be here virtually with you on this Flex Day. So my name is Mark Johnson. I'm the Executive Director of Marketing, Communication, and Public Information at the Peralta Community College District. And it's my pleasure to introduce to you Acting Chancellor Dr. Carla Walter, who is the plenary featured speaker this morning. A little bit of housekeeping. We have a chat function, and we also have a Q&A function. So while Chancellor Walter is giving her speech, if you have questions that come up that you would like to ask Chancellor Walter, please use the Q&A feature, and I'll be monitoring that. We'll have some time at the end of her talk to try and address as many of those questions as we possibly can. And let's see, with that, I'll say it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Carla Walter. Dr. Walter joined us as the Vice Chancellor of Finance and Administration in March, and unexpectedly was promoted to Acting Chancellor just last month, just a little over a month ago. She has a lot of experience in leadership and finance, and I think she's the right person at the right time for the job. So I'm really, really excited to introduce her to the Peralta community this morning. And with that, let me turn it over to you, Dr. Walter.
All right, thank you so much, Mark. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you, everyone, and welcome to the 2021 academic year. Oh my goodness, what a difference it is from what we might have expected and what we're dealing with. So I just want to say that I'm honored to be here with you today. And since the time I've come here, I've been very, very excited about being at Peralta. I want to take a moment to acknowledge the tremendous effort that went into setting up this Flex Day, and to send my appreciation to everyone who contributed to our being able to, hey, just click on a link and be in this virtual space and give us the ability to enjoy what is going to be a very informative and thought-provoking day. Thank you, Dr. Inger Stark, for your commitment and for working closely with the individuals who are contributing their time and energy or support to the sessions. And I hope they receive fulfillment from offering their talents to our community. Speak to you just for a few moments on cultivating stabilities for learners and community. So let me ask you, what is it that we would envision for our learners and our community? Well, we talk about this in our mission, vision, and value statements. We can look at the missions of each of the colleges and the district to see exactly what we mean by this. So if we look at Berkeley City College's mission, it's to promote student success, to provide our diverse community with educational opportunities, and to transform lives. The college achieves its mission through instruction, student support, and learning resources, which enable its enrolled students to earn associate's degrees, certificates, and to attain college competency, careers, transfers to other universities and colleges, or skills for lifelong success. Over at Merritt College, the mission is to enhance the quality of life in the communities that they serve by helping students to attain knowledge, master skills, and develop appreciation and attitudes and values needed to succeed and participate responsibly in a democratic society and a global economy. On the next college that we talk about, Laney College educates, supports, and inspires students to excel in an inclusive and diverse learning environment rooted in social justice. The mission of the College of Alameda is to serve the educational needs of its diverse community by providing comprehensive and flexible programs and resources that empower students to achieve their goals. And here at the district, we say, we are a collaborative community of colleges. Together, we provide educational leadership for the East Bay, delivering programs and services that sustainably enhance the region's human, economic, environmental, and social development. We empower our students to achieve their highest aspirations. We develop leaders who create opportunities and transform lives. Together with our partners, we provide our diverse students and communities with equitable access to educational resources, experiences, lifelong learning opportunities to meet and exceed their goals. And the district provides accessible, high quality educational programs and services to meet the following needs of our multicultural communities. We have articulation agreements with a broad array of respected universities. We are achieving associate's degrees of arts and sciences and providing certificates of achievement. We are helping people acquire career technical skills that are comparable with our industry's demands. We're promoting economic development and job growth. We're providing foundational skills in continuing education, lifelong learning, life skills, civic engagement, and cultural enrichment. We have early college programs for our high school students. We provide supportive and satisfying a safe and functional work environment for faculty and staff. And we are always in preparation for an environmentally sustainable future. So in sum, we want to thrive. We want to increase our learner base and increase their success. We want to support and develop our colleagues to their highest potential. And we definitely want to interface and intertwine holistically with our community. So how do we do this? Well, we cultivate conditions that enable us to bring forward these shared missions and visions and provide this as a reality. And how do we do this? Well, we intensely focus on learners and members of our shared community, and we focus on their well-being. We see them individually and provide clear paths for them with as few obstacles as possible for their goal attainment. We give credit to others. We give thanks for what we have and for the prosperity that we will manifest, and gratitude for the opportunities to make a difference every day. What is achieved at Peralta is always achieved with a collaborative effort. No one person can move this district. It literally takes this village. We also cultivate a generosity of spirit and know that we share a belief of plenty so that the focus is on giving. Giving becomes and provides more gifts. It is a contagious state of mind. The more we give, the more open we become to new ideas, new ways of seeing, and realizing our interdependent connectedness. We also cultivate conditions of stability by bringing forward new ideas and doing what has, quote, always been done with a new perspective. Think big, think bold, and always think, why not? If someone asks, can we do this? Say, why not? Develop plans that provide vision and hope, along with milestones and rewards to help guide us. Rewards could be tangible or intangible, and they can be non-monetary. We act on the plans and innovations using what I've called or labeled deep seeing. Deep seeing is an acronym for diligence, energy, effort, perseverance, and compassion for yourself and others. So many sages have come before us to give us inspiration. And like Thich Nhat Hanh has said, we have more possibilities available in each moment than we realize. I'd like to talk about some of the sages, scholars, and entrepreneurs or other leaders that have left us or provided us with inspiration, crossing a finish line or achieving the impossible, charting courses of success, and giving hope through the idea of deep seeing. So let me give you just a few examples. We have Daishon Emira. He's the co-founder and CEO of Maven Inc. It's a venture capital-backed innovative technology platform that has reshaped the distribution of retail products and afforded hairstylists an opportunity to earn a direct profit from selling hair and beauty products to their clients. He says, I have hairstylists in my family and had exposure to this world growing up. My professional career was primarily in international trade and supply chain management. I lived in China for several years, as well as other places around the world, making money by importing products back to the US. A family member asked me to help her get some hair extensions from overseas. In the process of helping her, I discovered I had a lucrative product and began selling to salons in East and West Oakland. As I began learning more about the economics of the products, and especially the nature of the existing distribution channels, I thought it was crazy that the salon owners were not the ones selling the products to their clients. So in effect, he says, in helping others, he was able to redefine an entire supply chain. Next, let's take a moment to honor Dr. Adella De La Torre, the first woman president at San Diego State University. Dr. De La Torre's grandparents immigrated to California's Central Valley from Mexico. She grew up in the Bay Area where her grandmother and mother taught her the very important cultural traditions, the importance of family, the importance of the value of hard work, and the power of education. Her mother attended Modesto Community College and UC Berkeley, and she was a public school teacher for 40 years. Dr. De La Torre earned her bachelor's degree in political economy of natural resources and a master's degree and a PhD in agricultural and resource economics from UC Berkeley. This is definitely an example of deep seeing. Next, we look at Dr. Flossie Wong Stahl, a scientist, a molecular biologist who helped establish HIV as the cause of AIDS. And she revealed the virus's inner workings by cloning it and then laid the foundation for treatments. Dr. Wong Stahl was a member of the National Academy of Medicine and was inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame just last year. Her work was so prolific and influential that the magazine Science named her the most cited female scientist of the 1980s. Though she passed away recently on July 8th at the age of 73, her virology work is being deployed right now in the fight against the novel coronavirus. Next, we'll take a look at Kimberly Bryant. She's the founder and owner of Black Girls Code. And she says, I recall as I pursued my studies feeling culturally isolated. Few of my classmates looked like me. While we shared similar aspirations and many good times, there's much to be said for making any challenging journey with people of the same cultural background. Much has changed since my college days, she says, but there's still a dearth of African American women in science, technology, engineering, and math professions, an absence that cannot be explained by, say, the lack of interest in these fields. Lack of access and lack of exposure to STEM topics are the likelier culprits. By launching Black Girls Code, I hope to provide young and preteen girls of color opportunities to learn in-demand skills in technology in computer programming at a time when they are naturally thinking about what they want to be when they grow up. That really is the Black Girls Code mission, to introduce programming and technology to a generation of coders, coders who will become builders of technological innovation and their own futures. And Black Girls Code is located in Oakland. Next up, we have Edward Harrison. He's the founder of Credit Write-Downs. He's a former career diplomat, investment banker, and technology executive with over 25 years of business experience. He's also been a regular economic and financial commentator in print and on television for the past decade. He speaks 6 languages and reads another 5. Skills he uses to provide a more global perspective. Edward Harrison holds an MBA in finance from Columbia University and a bachelor's in economics from Dartmouth College. Credit Write-Downs is a news and opinion site founded by Edward Harris in 2008. It's dedicated to bringing well-informed views of finance, economics, markets, and technology, and foreign policy to the mainstream consciousness. Articles by the company's authors have been featured in The Guardian, Reuters, the Financial Times, Forbes, and the New York Times. The last deep-seeing person I'd like to bring to the conversation today is Dr. Dean Chavers, who received his bachelor's from the University of California at Berkeley and his 2 master's degrees and his doctorate from Stanford University in communications research. And he is the founder of Catching the Dream. The mission of Catching the Dream is to help improve the quality of life in Indigenous American communities through the higher education of Indigenous people. They provide scholarships for students who demonstrate academic achievement, clearly defined goals, and the determination to succeed, and the desire to return to their communities and help others realize their dreams. They assist Indigenous American schools to prepare students for success in college. In the US, Indigenous American communities suffer from a lack of qualified professionals, teachers, engineers, doctors, communication specialists, and so forth. Well-paying jobs exist for these communities, but few people are prepared to fill them. If you look at the national dropout rate for those in Indigenous communities, it's about 50%, which is more than twice that of the national average. Of the Indigenous learners who complete high school, only 17% attend college, which is compared to 70% for the nation. The majority of that 17% attend the nation's, fewer than 1% of those attend the nation's Ivy League colleges. After working through Catch the Dream, the employment rate for their graduates is 100%. The completion rate for the scholarship students is 78%, and over 85% of their graduates work for a tribe, an Indigenous school, or some other organization in Indian country. So there are many, many more examples of people who have used deep seeing to accomplish major changes, to drive new ideas and new ways of doing that come to uphold entire communities and contribute to making history. They remind us that achievements are innumerable when we seek through a shared vision and we can overcome diversions. So let me turn now to looking at some of the things that Peralta has done lately in the form of deep seeing this calendar year. In February and March, the Board of Trustees approved new collective bargaining agreements with PFT, SEIU, IUOE, which included COLA increases. We got raises to go along with our already amazing benefits. The point is that Peralta is a great place to work. We adapted in-person to online modalities of instructions within weeks in March. We refinanced bond debts in April that saved Alameda County voters over $5 million. We navigated through a pandemic, social and political upheaval, and still helped another cohort of students successfully graduate and transfer in May, including our first ever virtual graduation ceremonies, helping mark these students' achievements. We have partnerships at each college with our Peralta Colleges Foundation, Eat, Learn, Play. And World Central Kitchen helps students dealing with food insecurity get fed, putting tens of thousands of dollars a week into the local service economy that was hurt badly by the pandemic. Last Chance U showed the world what we already knew, the diversity, charm, and resilience of our students, and the passion and support we give to help them succeed in the world. And not to mention the amazing turnaround of our FCMAT self-assessment and the drive we have now to our accreditation. So everyone here within the community should feel proud of what we've accomplished. It is truly astonishing. And wow, just take a moment and feel that and really acknowledge the collective and collaborative success that keeps us here focused on serving our learners and community. So we have more possibilities available in each moment than we realized, as we were told by Thich Nhat Hanh. There are so many ways to give, so many people in our community that are relying on us to help them, to give them a way up, a way forward, or a way out. At the same time, there are many organizations and people looking to partner with us as we continue deep seeing, that is, applying diligence, energy, effort, perseverance, and compassion for yourself and others as we navigate cultivating an environment of stability. So let's envision this cultivated stability by creating conditions that ensure it. Without denying that we live in a world of constant change, we can continue on our trajectory so that Peralta is the place countless learners turn to gain a world-class education for whatever paths they pursue. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor Walter, for those inspiring comments. We have some time for questions. Chancellor Walter has a hard stop at 9:45. It's currently 9:24, so that gives us actually 20 minutes for getting your questions answered. So now is the time. If you haven't already submitted your question, there is a Q&A button in Zoom. Click that, submit your question, and we'll try and get as many of these questions answered as we possibly can. The first question that we have was submitted by Laney College faculty member Adam Bella. And he says, "Hi, Chancellor Walter, I have a question. Given that we have a limited amount of time before September 14th, what is the district doing to iron out the final details required to safely offer late start career education lab classes? Who is part of the decision making, and can I help?"
Oh, thank you for that question. That's a wonderful question, and I really appreciate the offer to contribute. We are in the process right now of working through our Emergency Operations Center to finalize the return to campus guidelines. And they will be ready for review and circulation here very soon. So I remain very committed to the safety of all the constituents and community members here in the Peralta district. So we will be using all sorts of data to inform our decisions moving forward. So you can look forward to seeing that very, very soon.
Great, thank you. Next question we have is from Scott Behringer. With the critically short staffing of engineering and other Department of General Services departments and a leadership structure that is frozen or missing, how much longer are you expecting to be able to keep the campuses operational?
Well, thank you for that question. We don't have a choice about how much longer we can keep the campuses operational. They have to remain operational. So we'll be working on all the different aspects of ensuring that that goes forward. I realize that there are some challenges, and I want to assure you that we are moving forward to address them. So thank you for your question.
Great. Before we get to the next Q&A question, a question came in through chat, and it was a question asking about our OPEB debt. And is it possible to somehow get that debt written off some way? Are there people that we can appeal to write off that debt?
Well, thank you for that. There have been times when I would pray that somebody would wipe out my mortgage, over the years, but, for whatever reason, that hasn't happened. But the OPEB structure is being addressed by our municipal finance team, and we're working very diligently to address that issue. So while it's probably not likely that it will go away today or even this year, we are putting plans in place to make sure that we're looking at it and seeing if there's opportunities for us to restructure some of the underlying debt and to see which directions might be more beneficial for Peralta to move in. So yes, to answer your question, we're working on that.
Chancellor Walter, wasn't there some action that took place in April that resulted in some restructuring of bond debt? Maybe it wasn't OPEB bond debt.
Well, in April, we issued Measure G and restructured some of the underlying facilities bonds so that we were able to move forward with that in April. Yes, we did do that. Mm-hmm.
And I think that saved the taxpayers $5 million that you were mentioning earlier in your talk.
That's correct. Yep, that's absolutely true.
Let's see, our next question is from Laney faculty member Marla Leach. Marla is asking about the possibility of a special trustee from Sacramento. How are you feeling in terms of our financial status in reference to them forcing us to have a super trustee or special trustee? And she says, thank you for your leadership, Dr. Walter.
Well, thank you. And thank you for your question. I feel, well, let me sort of back up. If you were with us on any of our conversations when the May revise was presented to the state of California from the governor, you might recall that I was a tad nervous because at that time, the budget that was presented was basically saying we're going to cut. The state was going to have to cut not only Peralta, but all the districts up and down the state, as well as other programs, due to the Corona-19 pandemic. And so, however, between May the 14th and June 30th, many people came together and came up with ideas and solutions to help, mitigate what was called the budget problem. And so the community colleges really benefited in that we didn't suffer any cuts as they were expecting. In fact, we received new funding, for example, from the COVID-19 block grant. And there was more optimism around, the funding that was coming from the property taxes and so on. So now, as a result of that and ongoing budget action and trailer bills and so on that's happening in Sacramento, what we're looking at are what are called deferrals, which means that funds are going to come to us later, but it doesn't mean we're not going to receive the funds. So because of that, and because of the different groups around the state, the California Debt and Investment Advisory Commission, ACBO, ACA, and all the organizations that are involved, the California Community College League, there are strategies in place to handle the deferrals. So, and to handle them in a way that are beneficial to districts that don't put us at risk. So I would say that between May the 14th and now, I'm feeling very, very confident about our financial situation for fiscal 2021. And I'm very, very excited about planning for the upcoming years as we look at, ways to be innovative and to offer new programs and so forth, working on enrollment management and that sort of thing. So to answer your question, when you're talking about a fiscal, a special trustee or what have you, I'm very confident that what we provide and the information that we provide will demonstrate that Peralta has the ability from, as I mentioned, the deep seeing that will carry us forward in these times. And the State Chancellor's Office and other people who are rooting for Peralta will definitely be able to see that. So I'm very optimistic. I hope that answers your question.
Great, thank you, Chancellor Walter. We have a follow-up question on the career education situation. The question is, will the CE Lab processes include external internships for experiential learning at community-based organizations?
That's a really good question too. And my thinking would be that that would be up to the folks that lead the academics and the availability of internships and the way in which that curriculum is constructed. So I think that would be definitely a way that we would want to go forward, but I would have to defer to, we'd have to defer to the Vice Chancellor of Academic Affairs and the folks who are leading those programs. Yeah.
Great. Chancellor, during the introduction, I kind of jumped in just to your time at Peralta, but I didn't really emphasize your rich background. Can you take a few moments and tell us about your career trajectory and what led you to Peralta? I remember from your presentation for the Vice Chancellor of Finance Administration job, that one of the really compelling things was that you were certainly incredibly qualified on the numbers and the financial aspects, but you also mentioned Foucault. And I thought that was a real sign of this incredible depth of experience and a wide reading. Can you talk a little bit about your background, please?
Sure. Sure. I mean, so I come from very humble beginnings, and, my father was Cuban and my mother Native American, well, we call indigenous American and African heritage. And so they were always pressing the desire for us to go to college. And when I was a young child, my father was teaching me long division and math and all sorts of things. And at the time, I really didn't understand why, but I persevered, as you do when your father is telling you need to learn long division. And so we also had a household that was very artistic and creative, and we loved music and dancing and those sorts of things. But we were definitely needing to be able to make our way in the world. So, my college career included studying the sciences, the humanities. I had a great inquisitive mind, and it seemed like while I loved the arts, I had a knack for the financial aspects. So I majored in economics. And by the way, when I finished my economics degree, I had no inkling of getting a master's or a doctorate. And the only reason I got a master's and a doctorate was because people said, you should get a master's. And this happens to a lot of our college students. They have no idea that they have these directions that they can go in. So I pursued a master's degree, and I achieved a master's from California State University in San Bernardino, my undergraduate in economics from UC Riverside. And I worked in municipal finance at that time. I was the chief operating officer of a municipal finance firm, and I worked with constituents and public agencies up and down the state of California and other states to provide them support for municipal debt financing to cover infrastructure. And schools were a major part of what we did for funding. And so after a time and having success in that role, I was offered the opportunity to complete my doctoral work. And so it was the first time in my life that I was able to go to school without working. And it was wonderful. And so now whenever I'm talking to students, when I taught at Missouri Southern and at California Lutheran in the School of Business, and I would advise students, they would come in, they would say, "Oh, I want to change my major." And I would say, no, let's just keep going with what you're doing and finish so that you have the opportunity to enjoy this time in your life where you're not working and when you can do study abroad. Because I did study abroad as a late learner, learning, going to Germany and France and other places. So when I became a faculty member, a tenured faculty, and I served as a faculty senate president and led lots of committees and worked with strategic planning because I had that in my background. And I began moving into administration and just moved forward from being a faculty member to a dean, to a vice president, to provost, to interim presidents. And now I'm here at Peralta, and I'm so glad to be here to be able to work with these wonderful individuals that are here with me and to inspire our students, and just really excited. So that's a little bit about me. And they say, if you're in a group of people who have PhDs and nobody's talking because they feel shy, ask them about their PhD doctoral work, and then they won't ever be quiet. So at this point, I'm going to stop. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Dr. Walter. Let's see, we've got about 6 minutes left. There are at least 3-4 questions left. I know 2 of the questions are about facilities and safety and what the plan is for maybe coming back to campus. We've announced that the campuses are formally closed with online services available for the fall semester. What is the process for determining how we'll come back? Could you talk about that for a bit?
Thank you. That's a very important question. And like I mentioned a moment ago, we're working with our Emergency Operations Center and many of our experts in terms of bringing back or coming back to campus in what's considered a on-the-ground environment. And we will be following protocols that have been given to us by the California Department of Health to make sure that we follow those protocols. Those protocols are going to be incorporated into our return to campus guidelines. We will adhere to them strictly. There is no room in my mind or in our collective minds to deviate from those plans. And part of the plan includes remaining off of the Alameda County Health watch list for our district. So, diligence in making sure that we're following those protocols, diligence in ensuring that we're following the guidelines of the professionals who are telling public agencies what needs to be done, diligence in following, reporting guidelines for all the municipalities in which we serve, which includes Berkeley, Alameda, Oakland, and so forth, to, just keep us from being put at risk. So I am not at all worried about being in front of this so that all of our participants, constituents, our students, our faculty, staff, the visitors to our campuses and offices are ensured as much safety as possible as we move forward. So you should be seeing, we will be publicizing and providing updates and information on what those look like for our district. There will be no ambiguity about it. So I hope that helps.
Great, thank you. Let's see, we have another couple of questions I'm going to combine that talk about outreach and what we're doing to help increase enrollment in these challenging times.
Yes, very, very good question. I want to preface the comments to this question with the reality of the number of impacted districts up and down our state and across the country from an enrollment viewpoint. We used to be very certain of an inverse relationship between employment and enrollment. When unemployment is low, we expected enrollment to be low. When unemployment is high, we expected enrollment to be high. So right now, all of those economic models are kind of up for question. We don't know exactly how the pandemic is impacting students or learners. But I do know that the impact is not only with Peralta. We are not unique. Our understanding, my understanding from the information that's been given to me and that we can see if we take a look, is that our enrollment is down by about 8 to 9% compared to this time last year. And so, but our enrollment being down at that level is not different from many of our districts across the state. So in terms of outreach and working with inviting students to our district, we're doing social media, we're looking at emails, we're looking at commercial spots, we're making our websites more robust. Mark Johnson's team, along with the college presidents and Dr. Siri Brown, are working together to implement enrollment plans to help us move forward. I think one of the really important aspects of enrollment planning going forward, not just for now, but as we look over the next several years, are innovative programs and how we can maximize providing those types of innovations to our learners. And so you may see us come forward with some ideas about how to do that. So in summary, to answer the question, we are diligently looking at our enrollment, and we're also being mindful of the macroeconomic factors that are contributing to that. But at the same time, realizing that we have opportunities for innovation to keep us going forward. So I hope that gives you sort of a glimmer into what we're trying to do.
Great, thank you, Dr. Walter. It's 9:44. We have a hard stop in 1 minute. So I'd like to thank you all very, very much for joining in for this part of the plenary session for Flex Day. Welcome to an exciting day still to come. I'm going to turn it over to Inger Stark to kind of brief you on the next steps. But before I do so, I want to remind folks that later this afternoon, we have a budget webinar that Dr. Walter and Vice Chancellor of Finance and Administration, Adella Ahmed, and some guest speakers will be speaking from 2 to 3 p.m. on the FON and FTEF, the general fund, the SCIF, and revenue. So I hope you can please join us at 2 p.m. for that. And if you can't, if you're already booked with Flex Day events, that's awesome. Dr. Stark, over to you.
Chancellor Walter, now that my mute button is off, I'd like to say thank you so much for joining us this morning. And as reputed, I found your presentation very calming and reassuring. And for that, I thank you, as I'm sure the other 263 attendees do. As far as I know, this is the best attended plenary session at a Flex Day, perhaps of all time. So thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to working with you in the future for professional development for the employees of our district. And thanks, Mark. To attendees, this exact same Zoom is where we will resume at 10 o'clock, and we're going to give everybody lots of breaks today because staring at a computer all day can be exhausting. So we're going to leave the Zoom on. We hope you will stay, grab a cup of coffee, and just join us right back here in 15 minutes for a panel discussion with our district leaders and a few announcements about the day at that point.
Thank you. Bye-bye.